Did you know that this park just south of Manchester city centre once claimed to have the world's first UFO landing site? Welcome to Hulme Park, the green heart of Hulme, to me the most interesting neighbourhood in the whole city. It's arty, it's alternative, it's fun, and its history involves everything from Roman temples, era-defining music, large-scale urban design, and mid-20th century modernist concrete blocks of flats that went on forever. Fans of any of these things flock to Hulme to soak it up, and Hulme welcomes everybody with open arms.
So welcoming, in fact, that they went out of their way to welcome beings from another world. Quite why is answered simply because Hulme is full of very colourful characters with very big imaginations. But did that site ever get built? What happened to it? And why did they get rid of a UFO landing site? If indeed they did.
Now, if you've watched a few of my videos over the past couple of years, you might notice I've become a little obsessed with Hulme in Manchester. It's fast becoming one of my favourite places, really. It's a district immediately south of the city centre. It's a place full to the brim with a mix of fascinating history and really interesting people too. Honestly, and I can't stress this enough, it's the most interesting neighbourhood in Manchester. Honestly. Enjoy it now as well before it becomes the Camden town of the north and loses its soul for good. But one of the first things I ever learnt about Hulme was about 20 years ago when, as a uni student not far away at Manmet, I read somewhere that there was a UFO landing site or pad in the middle of Hulme Park. Immediately I just laughed, guessed it was something like a cute little gimmick for children, and then carried on with my life. But today, in 2025, Hulme Park is somewhere I visit semi-often. It's only a stone's throw from the bustling city centre, and on a sunny day this wide open green space is a really rare place to spend your time. I'm actually surprised more people from these tower blocks don't make the effort to come here and sunbathe, because if I was trapped up there with no balcony in summer, I'd be salivating looking down at this green oasis. And even though every time I visit I'm reminded of that UFO landing site story, I'm sorry to say I've never stumbled across it. But looking into the mystery a little bit more, I only just realised that this wasn't a gimmick, at least not for some people. That behind this UFO landing site thing is a deeper tale relating not just to visiting alien spacecraft and not just to Hulme's history as an alternative creative hub, but to a real human story about people, land, and a yearning for something beyond the fences and the walls we have on the ground.
So don't worry, this isn't one of them videos where I go off and try and find a deeper meaning to everything. This is a video about a UFO landing site. I just want to answer three very basic questions. What? Where? And why?
Not surprisingly, there's very little info online about the landing pad in Hulme Park. If you type in Hulme, Manchester, UFO landing pad into a search engine, you get very few relevant options. One of the top ones is this BBC Arts and Culture page from February 2010 about a month-long arts festival put on by a music collective at the Zion Arts Centre. The UFO landing site is mentioned, as is a connection to ley lines. The rest of the results, by the way, mention it in passing, but without any real details. Abandoning the internet, as we almost do at some point when researching something properly, I managed to find a tiny little clipping from the Manchester Evening News, dated the 23rd of August 1997. Next to a bit of entertainment drivel, and above a short piece about a plastic owl called Ollie that got fired from its job scaring off pigeons in Rochdale because it kept getting shat on, there's this. This tongue-in-cheek paragraph in a roundup of short interesting stories of the week describes how UFO fanatics, armed with maps, rulers and exotic imaginations, advanced on a cobbled street in Hulme, Manchester, where a new park and square was under construction. Although it doesn't say how many fanatics there were and where exactly this cobbled street is, it does mention that the spot is a significant intersection of a northern ley line and therefore a likely landing spot for visiting aliens. Now, since this is from 1997, it's safe to say that this park is indeed Hulme Park, which was opened in 2000 after a period of regeneration. In 1997, it would have been under construction, and 1997 was also the opening of the famous arch bridge along Stretford Road, symbolising Hulme's fresh start after decades of neglect. Another article written about the same arts festival gives a little more info and reveals that university lecturer and local resident David Ellis had been studying ley lines and found that a spot near the Zion Arts Centre was where some of the lines converged. Hulme was bursting with mythical energy, like Stonehenge. In the final paragraph, it claims that developers of the park used heat-resistant cobbles from the old Rolls-Royce factory nearby to create the landing site. Hulme Park itself lies in the exact spot the famous Hulme crescents were situated. These 4 elongated crescents were supposed to be the future of working class housing, entire neighbourhoods built upwards, leaving lots of green space in between for playing and socialising. Famously, massive underinvestment, cheap building methods, and ongoing neglect led to high heating bills, high crime rates, and a rapid decline in the area. The crescents were eventually demolished and the council took their time deciding what to do next.
So there's nothing in the park to find today, unfortunately, certainly not from ground level, certainly not anything I can see. But what about from space?
A look on satellite imagery reveals, well, nothing, not even a faint footprint of one that's grown over in the 25 years since. What about looking at old satellite imagery though? Still nothing. There's a weird white circle in 2003, but that looks less like a purpose-built UFO landing pad and more like a bump covered in chalk or paint. There is this, seen as a white circle as early as 2000 when the park officially opened, and it later gets coloured in to resemble, well, a colourful target. But that's not in the park, and if you go to that spot today you'll find it's gone and this building there instead, part of a school. Was that the landing pad? So wait a minute, what would a UFO landing site look like? I'm imagining something like a helipad, but this place in St. Paul, Canada actually has a UFO landing pad and it's grander than just a spot on the ground. Why didn't Hulme have anything like this? And what about that cobbled stone landing site? Well, there is of course this area here, paved in cobblestones all the way back to the opening days of the park. Rather than a pad, could this be a general site mentioned in the article above? A landing space for UFOs? So the question of why Hulme would have something like this in the first place is with ley lines, those mystical lines of energy that supposedly crisscross the earth, connecting ancient man-made sites and natural places like springs, and are said to have been well known by ancient people who used them in a physical and spiritual way. While I'm not a believer myself, I'm not someone to mock other people's deeply held beliefs if they are harmless, and I know many people clicking on this video may believe in ley lines, and fair enough. While to some this is pseudoscience and pseudo-archaeology, to others this is a fundamental understanding of how the planet works. Though the theory of ley lines only dates back to the 1920s, it probably has some sort of deeply rooted connection in the human need for the mythical and the natural. Now, one thing I did used to believe in was aliens back when I was about 12 or 13, and to be honest, I think it's kind of fun to still believe that kind of thing now. I think I believed it then because there'd been a wave of big budget 90s movies and stuff on TV like The X-Files. And in the days before widespread Photoshop and these days AI slop all over the place, it seemed easier back then to believe whatever grainy, poor quality evidence existed. And I wasn't the only one. Even today, according to a YouGov poll from March 2025, around 1 in 3 people in Britain believe aliens have visited Earth at some point. A study by Sheffield Hallam University called the National Folklore Survey for England, published in October this year, found that around 1 in 10 have seen a UFO or something in the sky they could not explain. There have been a number of high-profile UFO sightings around Manchester over the years. In the early hours of the 25th of August 1958, several witnesses were reported to have seen a strange red-orange light in the sky near Hulme Hall Lane in Newton Heath. The light apparently hovered for 5 minutes before suddenly speeding off. In 1988, at 6 in the morning on the 31st of January, to be precise, Two police officers driving their Panda along Leybridge Road in Cheadle Heath saw a light standing still in the sky that then sank down and disappeared. The next day, Monday morning, when the sighting was mentioned on Piccadilly Radio, so many people rang in to say they'd seen similar sightings that the station's switchboard became jammed and they had to appeal to people to stop calling in. In February 1991, air traffic controllers at Manchester Airport reported seeing a shooting white light heading earthward that hadn't shown up on radar. The light was also spotted by a crew of a Manx aircraft arriving at Manchester from Douglas. And there you go, that might be the story of the mysterious Hulme UFO landing pad. It seems that after falling down a rabbit hole, this bit of cobbled surface in the park might be the landing site all along, and I'm disappointed to say the least. So was this all part of a publicity stunt for the regeneration of the area, a gimmick to raise awareness for the park, or for developers to sell houses, or for the Zion Arts Centre to promote a festival? Or was it a way for someone to talk about ley lines and some bit of park design that took inspiration from that? Or was it just kind of people just saying stuff and other people going along with it harmlessly? What I can say is that if this is it, there's not much room for a UFO to land here. So the aliens we're inviting to come to Hulme, and therefore Manchester, are probably driving intergalactic versions of smart cars.
Yeah, so if you have any information about this Hulme UFO landing site, where it was, photographs, memories, anything at all really, let me know in the comments below. That'd be so fantastic. And if you've got any memories of Hulme during this period, during the regeneration at all, let me know as well. That would be wonderful. But yeah, that's it. Thanks very much for watching this video, and keep watching the skies, I guess.